Greetings, guitar fans. It's Lindsay here from Maple Street Guitars, and this is a new edition of My Favorite Things, starring the creator of My Favorite Things, Mr. Chris Capitanio. So we're really eager to have you here and talking about one of your favorites.
Yes, it's I've definitely been wanting to chat about it since I started this, but it's feels a little weird sitting in this seat for once.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, obviously we have here a PRS guitar, a Paul Reed Smith.
Yes.
But this is a model that's probably a little less familiar for the average guitar person, unless you're really a Paul Reed Smith devotee. So tell us a little bit more about this guitar.
So this is a 2007 513, and the big selling point with this guitar is it uses 5 single coil pickups that you're able to coax 13 different pickup combinations out of. So the way that it works is you have this 3-way switch that switches from a single coil operation to what they call a clear humbucking, which is kind of low wind humbucker, kind of PIF style, to a heavy humbucking sound, which is more modern, high output, darker sounding, lots of mid range. And then you have the typical 5-way Strat switching. So when you take into account that this is staying a single coil in all 3 of these positions, you do that math, and it's 13 sounds. So it's the most versatile guitar that I've ever played, and I'm all about versatility in my instruments, especially with the kind of stuff that I play. I need to get a lot of sounds, and this guitar absolutely fits the bill.
So how did you come by this guitar? Well, just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've always been a PRS fan, and my uncle, who is single, doesn't have kids, he's definitely spoiled me quite a bit along the way. He gave me a call right before my 21st birthday. He said, "Hey, I want to do something special for you for your 21st. Thinking about getting you a guitar." I was like, "Whoa, that's awesome! I wasn't expecting this."
That's a cool uncle. Mine never did that for me.
Yes, he's the best. So he said, and then after that he said, "I know you like those Paul Reed Smiths," and I was like, "Whoa, mine." So he didn't quite understand how expensive they can be, but we took a trip to that guitar store that shall not be named, and we sat and played through a whole bunch of them, and he kind of got the idea how much they cost, and surprisingly, this was a used one.
Okay.
It has a little ding here that I think pretty much saved me like $1,000, and we tried out a whole bunch, but this was the one that both he and I kept coming back to. So it made sense that even he, as someone that doesn't play music, is a big music appreciator, always supportive of my bands and such. Even he heard the difference with this one, and the setup was much better than all of the new ones. So this was the one we kept going back to. And we were like, okay, this is the one. So we ended up splitting the cost, which I didn't want to burden his wallet too much. But that was 8 years ago now, and she's still my favorite.
So tell me, is this one a shorter scale or is it a full scale?
It's actually it's a really weird scale length, which is one of the things that's really cool about this guitar. So Paul Reed Smiths are generally a 25-inch scale length. But because of the single coil operation, they decided to try to get it a little bit more stratty, so it actually has a 25 1/4 inch scale length.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, so it has a pretty unique feel. It also has a really unique neck carve. It had its own neck carve compared to all the other Paul Reed Smith models at that time. Now they have kind of just a general neck carve for it, or they did before they discontinued the model. And so that combination of the profile and the scale length give it a really unique feel that is still kind of why this is the one that sticks out to me.
Yeah, I can imagine that longer scale gives you enough resistance that things kind of pop a little bit more than your typical Gibson kind of feel. But,
exactly.
But maybe a little more forgiving for bends.
Mm-hmm. And with it gets you a little bit more in Strat territory, especially the positions 2 and 4, where you're getting the neck pickup and the middle pickup, so you get that cool quack sound out of it.
Oh, really cool. So what were you using before this guitar, just to give us an idea?
I think before I got this, I had my Ibanez SZ, which was very PRS-esque in its design. Double cut with kind of the same arching of the top. That was a blue one. I dubbed him Sub-Zero. Um, and
little Mortal Kombat
yes,
nerdery going
exactly. And the other one was a Flying V, a Gibson Flying V, one of the faded ones, which was a really great guitar. And both of those, unfortunately, were stolen when my band was on tour. But this one, I was like, I'm not going to bring this on tour. This one means too much to me. And so this is really the first really great guitar that I've gotten. That Gibson was another used one. It was on sale. Really fun guitar, but when I got this, it was just like a whole new world.
So, an old friend of mine once remarked that if you ever get stymied as a songwriter, just buy a new guitar, because invariably new songs live in that.
Yes.
I definitely am a proponent of this thinking, but I'm curious, has this one inspired you to write any new songs for In the Presence of Wolves or otherwise?
Absolutely. A lot of stuff has come from this guitar. Additionally, this guitar is on every song we've ever recorded.
Oh, very cool.
Because of the versatility and the switching, it is the ultimate studio guitar. For clean stuff, for dirty stuff, for leads especially. Actually, on my band's first record, my basic clean sound was 14 tracks of audio. Basic. This was the producer's idea too. He was kicking himself in the ass afterwards.
I was about to say, somebody was hating that decision at some point.
Yeah. So we really utilized the switching and did like the clean. We would do one pass with the neck pickup as a humbucker, and then I think another pass with the in between, and that was with 2 amps in stereo with another stereo room mic and a DI track. So you put all that together, it came out to 14 tracks. But yeah, exactly. But she performs well, and I bring her out every now and then live. It kind of has to be the most important shows, and because although she is a bit beat up now.
Yeah, I noticed a few extra things. I was wondering if you could give me a few $100 off.
Yeah, exactly. I got some scratches on the back, and this especially is from me. And I remember one show. I think I got a little bit of Paul Reed Smith. So I've noticed since I have a few, they tend to get some dings along the kind of the horns or the headstock there. And I remember we were playing one show at the studio where we recorded, and I was playing this, and we thrash about a bit on stage. So I thrashed it and hit one of the other guy's organs, and I hit the G string tuner, and it dropped an entire octave. It was a perfect octave.
Wow.
So it was still playing in tune for the part, but I was like, wait a second. But,
you might be the only guy who's ever had that kind of stage malfunction where it just worked out perfectly in a weird way.
Yeah, kind of thing could never recreate again. But yeah, so she's got some battle scars. I'm definitely a proponent of making sure you play even the nice ones, but mostly she stays at home, and try my best to take care of her.
What else about this guitar really grabs you? What's your favorite element about it as far as just being a tool?
Yeah, I think probably the neck carve and that feel to it. It's like I said, it doesn't feel like anything else, and it's because of that, it's still kind of the guitar that I hold all others up to. If I were ever to get a custom electric made, I'd be like, try to comp this profile and that scale length. So between that and then of course the sound.
Yeah, the versatility.
Yeah, it's a relatively bright guitar because of that maple cap, but it's just so versatile. It has so many different sounds in it, and it just makes me happy.
That's the most important thing, is it makes you happy.
Yes.
I guess this is one question that just popped into my mind, but do any of your major influences or other artists you admire play PRSs or even this model?
Several do, and that was one of the things that kind of brought me to the brand in the first place. When I first started, I was all about Linkin Park.
Okay.
Brad Delson was using Paul Reed Smiths, and then my taste evolved into some more alt-rock stuff, 311 and Incubus, and they were playing Paul Reed Smith guitars. And it's like, as my tastes progressed, I noticed that common thread. Even as I got into progressive music, artists like Steven Wilson of Porcupine Tree used Paul Reed Smith guitars, Michael Ackerfeld of Opeth, same thing. So it was like, I was already into them to begin with. All the magazines said you had to call for pricing. And I was like, whoa, you have to call to even find out how much these guitars cost? So there was that exclusivity thing. And then seeing all of my heroes playing them too. And then I finally got my hands on one. It was like, oh yeah, this is the real deal.
Well, I think it's easy to understand. I mean, one of Paul Reed Smith's real claims to fame, and I can say from firsthand experience, having seen these things since I was a kid in the
Mm-hmm.
80s, is that they're a modern take on what is fundamentally a pretty classic design. You know, a solid mahogany body with a carved maple top, but they were thinner, lighter. You know, so any Les Paul user who picked up one of these was probably immediately struck by how light they were in comparison. But more importantly, you know, the standards for producing them are very high. So, you know, though I'm not sure how they would take the comparison. PRS to me is kind of like the Taylor of electric guitars, in that they redefine the manufacturing process and really make such a consistent product. It's hard to go wrong.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was never quite a Strat guy, and I was never quite a Les Paul guy, and so that's why this really appealed to me. I think Les Paul's is the bass side of things, Strats is maybe the treble, and PRS is the mid-range, and all of my tone has always been well-defined and living in that mid-range. So that's, and plus the kind of aesthetic of it too, being right in between the two. A lot of people don't like them because it can't do the Strat and the Les Paul, and I'm like, I like it because it doesn't quite do either.
And my answer is buy more guitars.
X+1, the perfect number.
So I guess we'll quit talking about this really cool guitar for just a moment and give Chris an opportunity to showcase what it can really do. Of course, it's actually showcasing what he can really do, but it's a great pairing. So once again, this has been another edition of My Favorite Things, and we want to thank Chris for taking some time and coming in and talking about his beautiful PRS.
My pleasure.
Until next time, guys, check in with us at maplestreetguitars.com, on our Instagram feed, and also on YouTube.